Presumption. If they don't have any good reason why the act and their performance is inherently good, absent the perm, you have negative presumption. And on reasons why the act is bad and why the perm is therefore net worse because it's still the links. Commodified PA. The act is now the next hot thing on the block to be sold and traded off. The act has no control over who's using it, who's dealing it, just going to play. The act justifies violence then to by body saying become the co and pro tell. The academy takes this knowledge and exploits their movement. It destroys and turns their movement against itself. The link is that the performance of their act relies upon the existence of the other, performing in a way that cannot be understood as the only way to prevent the co-option and manipulation of their strategy by elite. Their performance relies on the affirmation of the judges, turns case. It also functions as disciple of the perm because they attempt to provide good education within their historical analysis, even point out how it apparently breaks down dominant scripts. And if all the affirmative arguments are true about the ontological status of the black body, historical analysis in its very essence assumes subjecthood, a complete linear historical narrative of human life, which is disarticulated level of the black body that they have only a fragmented history that's impossible to piece together. This is both a terminal solvency due to their method and external impact. It turns case given it is only ever able to re-entrench white hegemony. And they fundamentally double-turn themselves because they misunderstand their own arguments. Anti-blackness is a structural antagonism. It's Afro-pessimistic that can't be solved, and this is their uniqueness in their Mont Pettit 15 card from the 1AC. White supremacy and whiteness is a part of white supremacy is a part of Afro-optimism studies that says that black people do have ontology, agency, and culture, and they are merely at a structural disadvantage, not that civil society is anti-black. And their historical analysis is a historical measuring stick that is turned on black flesh is a question about the authenticity of the test of black body because we're subject to particular gratuitous violence, Wilderson 10. The Negro symbol that can enable representation mean because it has no reference, such as the gratuitous violence that has made the Negro. It is precisely to this elusive symbolic resistance opposed to Negroes' objective uniqueness, and certainly not to the slaves' gratuitous violence that many Black aspire when interpreting their cultural objects. Black authenticity is an oxymoron, for it requires a kind of ontological integrity which a slave cannot attain. Specific historical discursive practices and aesthetics are homogeneous to the extent that their genealogies cannot recognize and incorporate the figure of the slave. The result of interjecting the slave narrative into the privileged site of the literary expression achieves a disformation of the field of American literary history. The slave narrative as a process by which a textual economy is constituted as a topography through which the African American achieves an emancipatory subversion of the propriety of slavery jeopardizes the genealogy of reason. Once reason's very genealogy is jeopardized, then its content, for example, the idea of dominum, has no ground to stand on. For if slave narratives as an object field have no ontological status, that such fields insertion into the field of literary history can disform not just the field of literary studies, but the field of knowledge itself. The paradigm is shamed within the political economy of academia disforms the hegemony of reason and genealogy. And then what does this tell us about the ontological status of narrative slaves themselves? And their historical research focuses on kinship and ignores other forms of solidarity and unity, which makes the result essentialist, biologically deterministic, and exclusionary. And their terminology in the 1AC is uniquely problematic because language of roots and origins just reiterates the norms of Western epistemology. National 2. The focus on blood relations can endorse blood as the basis for solidarity. Genealogy conventionally overlooks complex forms of kinship, including shared residence, friendship networks, mutually supportive, and or nurturing passionate alliance and cooperation. In contemporary Western culture, conventional and social practices, identities, and relations routinely naturalized. Genealogy can easily slip into the language of genetic essentialism and biological determinism. Genealogy traditionally privileges the patrilineal line of descent. Women are simultaneously central keepers of family history. Marginalized research. Donna Harris challenges genealogy. I'm sick to death of bonding through kinship, where everything does not stem from the dramas of identity. There will be no racial or sexual peace until we learn to produce humanity through something more than less than kinship. Lisa Malki used the term sedimentary manifesto to describe the idea of racially rooted community and its homogenized and exclusive languages, which pathologizes difference. The idea of family trees, roots, branches, central lines, and origins of genealogy seem to rely on the conceptual structures of Western epistemology. The Western tradition of rigid binary logic, systemic, hierarchical branches of knowledge, their rhizomatic alternative emphasizes shifting and reaction outlines, networks, fragmentation, combination, and plurality. Roots are certainly out of favor. For them, there's always something genealogical about trees. It's not a method, or it's not a method for the people. The rhizome is anti-genealogy. It is a rhizomatic metaphor in which land, soil, genes, blood, culture, residence, and political affiliation ideally coincide within the boundaries of the nation state. And the only possible relationship to have in this space is to steal away, to move to a maroon camp, the undercommons, a place where we are able to exist without oppressive structures, a place that allows us to exist in a new radical form that disrupts enlightenment perspective and biopolitical control. So we steal. We just lawyer stuff. In your 1AC, which you pointed out in your 2AC speech. Harney and Moten 13. To the university, I'll steal, and there I'll steal. This is the only possible relationship to the American university today. It cannot be accepted that the university is a place of enlightenment. In the face of these conditions, one can only sneak into the university, steal out what one can to abuse its hospitality despite its mission to join its refugee colonies, gypsy things, and can to be not of this path is the subversive intellectual and modern university. Worry about the university. Call for its restoration. Call out to as it calls to you, but for the surface introduction, all this goes upstairs in a polite company among the rational men. The subversive intellectual comes under false pretenses with bad documents out of love. Her labor is necessary unnecessary, is unwelcome. The university needs what she bears but cannot bear what she brings. And on top of that, she disappears. She disappears into the underground, the down low, low down, ruined community of the university, into the undercommons of enlightenment, where the work gets done, where the work gets subverted, where the revolution is still black, still strong. But it's useful to invoke this operation to glimpse the hole in the fence where labor enters the moment of teaching, where food is therefore often mistakenly to be a stage. Kant interestingly calls such a state self-incurred minority, determination and courage to use one's intelligence without being guided by another, having the courage to use your own intelligence. And one of those minorities who refuse, the tribe of moles who will not come from beyond, as it depends on these moles, these refugees who call from the uncollegial, impractical, naive, unprofessional. Why still when one can have it all, will they ask? But if one hides from the interpolation, neither agrees nor disagrees, but goes with the hands full into the underground of the university, into the undercommons, this will be left regarded as theft, as a criminal act, and it is at the same time the only possible act. That's all I have for really.